think the one that I seen that you're going to talk about is that they only had 8. I was like,
Oh, right. You're talking about Stranger Things?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely
I
talking
wanted
about
to
that.
see
Yeah.
more than that. Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I think they really
Did
hit
you
a.
see that one this
Yeah,
weekend?
I
You
finished it
finished
up.
it?
I finished it up. And so, yeah, Stranger Things season 3 is really good. I think they really hit their stride, and because season 2 was kind of meh,
Yeah.
and now I think they really hit their stride, and
I love the way they separated the the
the
the main
groups,
characters
yeah,
and it all came together.
and they
But
all
it,
came
it
together,
was
yeah.
like ran because at first you don't know. You're like they're just over there like hanging out at the mall, and they're like, oh, we're really chasing like after the people or
Uh-huh.
whatever. And like they bring it all together is super cool.
Because
But
they're all doing their own thing, but it all happens to
yeah.
be connected to the same thing.
Right.
Yeah,
I like that they are like split up into groups randomly though. I think it made it like a little bit more
yeah,
interesting and personal for you to get to kind of get to know some of the characters more in depth. Like when they came back to save them or
yeah,
whatever after they were still scared, you're like, oh man, they're actually
yeah. I'm starting to like Steve more and more. You know, I've loved Hopper ever since the beginning of the show. He's my 100% my favorite character.
yeah.
But I'm starting to like Steve more and more.
We
You
didn't
know,
know that he has more interaction with everybody. Where you're like, oh, he was kind of friends with his little brother's friends too.
Yeah,
And you're
yeah.
like, oh, that's funny to see.
And
When what's his name? I don't know the I can't I didn't I watched it whenever that first came on. I haven't seen it, so I can't name the characters off the top of my head. But I do know Deborah or whatever's the girl, right? Debbie is his sister. She's the one that's with the other kid's brother, and they're in the hospital freaking out
oh my god, that scene
upstairs
in the
with that
hospital,
thing.
dude. There's a scene in the hospital where all of a sudden it goes from normal hospital to abandoned hospital.
I
And I was
didn't
like,
understand.
what the hell has going on in this hospital?
I was like, where are these places too? That like, where's the staff? There's just
Yeah. There's
nobody's
one
working.
lady at the desk talking on the phone the whole time.
Keeping the other people like the strict rules
Yeah,
of
2 at a
not being
time, 2
allowed
at a time.
anywhere. But you got 5 floors of just
There's nothing.
uninhabited. Hey, if you make it on the floors, that's fair game for you. Got off at the wrong floor.
So there were some problems. All right. I mean, some of it is that like, okay, this isn't believable.
Well, yeah, if you you know what I mean? If you overanalyze.
Yeah.
But it's still like, that's how that kind of thing happened, though, with it, where it was like, oh, it's this, and then all of a sudden it changed. And, like, you know what I mean? You can only expect so much reality when you're like, it's talking about monsters
Yeah,
and stuff. So
right.
you're like, you got to be into, like,
Yeah, and they name them after D&D monsters and stuff like that, and pretend like this is real. Come on now.
right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you go, oh, that's unrealistic. You're like, oh, well, no, there's a Russian base under the mall, like, or whatever it is.
Right.
Like, okay, like, you think that would be,
That's plausible.
Yeah.
In the 80s,
Yeah.
a bunch of Russian soldiers underneath a mall in the middle of America. Nobody knows. Get out of town.
yeah, their mall was jumping, too. A lot of people
Yeah.
there, they work there. Mm-hmm. That was a good part, too, when they were getting interrogated. They really thought they were spies.
Right.
I thought that was funny.
That was
They
hilarious.
were down there and had them all
Yeah,
messed
they had
up.
that one scene. They were playing up this kind of burgeoning relationship with Steve and the redheaded girl. I forget her
Yeah.
name. And then all of a sudden, they just threw a monkey wrench in the works.
Right.
And they're just like, yeah, it's like maybe something's going to happen between these two. And then all of a sudden, nope, never.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought that's where it was going to play out, and I felt like it was better though, based off of the fact that when you're watching something and you're like, "Oh, I know how this is going to end already." When you're like halfway through, and then you're just waiting for it. When you see it, you're like, Weren't they supposed to? And you're like,
Yeah.
they never did? And you're like, are you sure? Because I thought the whole time
Yeah,
that
why
they were
develop-
supposed to.
But then why develop this plot line? Then we
because
just
it's funnier to leave you wanting something
because
else.
everyone's got to be
Thought
represented.
you knew.
Everyone's got to be represented in the 80s.
They did. Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. Too.
You know.
They did. That's why they brought in the black girl. She was funny.
She was
I
great,
thought her
yeah.
character was hilarious
Yeah.
from how they brought her in
Well,
slowly with the trolling.
They
Always.
trolling her and then telling
Always,
convincing her,
I want
"You're-
free ice cream."
You're a nerd, though. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
It's like, you're
come
a
to
nerd.
find out, yeah, and I think she was related to wasn't she related
Yeah,
to
it's Lucas's little sister.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they did bring it, but she was always at the ice cream shop like, I need free samples.
I want free
I want
samples,
free.
yeah.
You're like, oh, what? And then she ends up being like a bigger
A
character.
bigger character, and it's great. It's great to have her part of the crew.
Oh yeah, Yeah, it was super funny because of her attitude of the whole thing when she turned out to be like doing just running
Well, she's
numbers off the top of her head.
mercenary in business. You know, she's mercenary in business. She's super smart, doing calculations in her head and stuff like that. She's a great character.
Yeah, and he brought up the My Little Pony. What was the last episode about?
Yeah.
They were stealing dragons and
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And you're like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how you think about like where people are like, oh, you're real cool. You're like, nah, dude. Actually,
man,
you're
yeah.
pretty nerdy because even like me, I'm telling you right now, I know exactly what you're talking about. You're like, you talk about that show Stranger Things about the monsters and the thing. You're like, yeah.
Absolutely.
And you know, I've had super in-depth conversations with you about Game of Thrones. Like, I've seen that. I watched that.
I love Hopper. I think he's just great. And that whole scene where the Slurpee, the strawberry versus cherry Slurpee.
It's not the same.
Oh my God, I love that scene. So it's so awesome. Yeah. And I love that scene because he was like, the Russian guy. He's like, I wanted a cherry Slurpee or I'm not talking. Mm-hmm. Right. And they have this whole conversation. It's like, they didn't have cherry. So I got strawberry. Right. And, you know, it's just all the same. It's like sugar on ice. Okay. It's all the same thing. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do this. And like Hopper just loses his mind. He kind of snaps, and he's 100% right.
Him out.
Kicked him out of here. Gave him the keys to his car. Gave him the keys to the cuffs. And said he's not going anywhere. He's going to be right back. He's going to be realizing I can't go back there. It's like they're going to think I'm a traitor, that I told them everything. Yeah. And he was 100% right.
They heard the car turn on and peel off.
And I love that Alexei, the Russian guy, he calls him, it's like, he says, I admire your courage, but you're like a fat Rambo. And I was like, oh shit, zing, Alexei, zing. Because Hopper is like a fat Rambo.
Fat Rambo, yeah, that is funny. Because they do. Mm-hmm. I like that part also, I think, added to that season that, like we say with the split up, but the parents specifically not being with the kids in this one as much made it, I think, a little bit cooler, where it was like they were out doing their own thing. So it gave a different dialogue on that perspective of it, where you're like, it's not like, oh, the mother, like they weren't playing mother-father roles. They were out like detective and then all of a sudden they realized like, oh, they're getting in.
Well, that's what I mean.
To the shit too. Yeah. Like,
it was like they graduated last year. So I mean, like half of the characters graduated. And so they actually have to enter the workforce. And so
that's right. The guy. Oh, they do have jobs. I forgot. Mm-hmm. That's the girl. That's Diana.
Nancy.
Nancy.
That girl with the gigantic head.
Yeah.
Skinny little body. I don't get it. I don't see where she's good looking.
Nancy's a hottie for being a young.
Her head is so huge.
I guess for the 80s, they make you look. Man, I don't know. I never actually.
Women still looked hot in the 80s.
But it is funny. But you know, like it's like a different attire, the way that they do
style. Yeah,
all dressed. Yeah, where you're like they're wearing a nylon thing and a whole thing. You know what I mean? Like I got on wool jackets and like, you know what I mean. Like who was see a woman? I mean, I guess it was classy, you know, because when they worked at the radio, but that was like her wearing wool skirts. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I watched this whole thing, and now I do remember because she did work at. She was getting trolled by everybody at work
by Jake Busey. Yeah,
and they found the rats. I thought that at some point that was going to pan out to be something that worked out too. They did build like kind of like a.
Well, it's kind of related to what they were doing.
A plot because at the end where they're like, oh, it's on the national station instead of the local one, but I don't think they ever like it shut down their station or something. You know what I mean? Never really like.
Well, I've one more thing to say about the show, and it's like the most unbelievable aspect of the show is 11 staying in a relationship with Mike. Because damn, that kid got ugly over the last 2 years. He's a weird looking dude now. He's gonna end up looking like Tiny Tim or maybe even like Steve Buscemi.